Oh. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Sammy and our People's TV. Just had a massive yawn. Got him right just as the song was finishing. We managed to sneak it in. How are we all doing? We're going to run through the latest United news. As always, it's the international break. You can stick around here and I'll tell you everything you need to know. We'll speak about Ruben Amorim's first year in charge. Laurie Whitwell's dropped a big article. And a little bit more on that shakedown, I suppose, between Ugarte and Amorim that happened at the end of last season. In the same conversation where Garnacho had the conversation, which we all knew about. You know, find a new club sort of thing. We'll also speak about Elliot Anderson, some more reports there. The international break, who's playing where and on what days. We'll also speak about, I don't know, there's some other stuff. Forgotten what we're speaking about. I'm going to cover it all. All right? How are you all doing? Who's having a good day? Let me see who's here from the mods and the members gang. Can I start by saying a happy birthday to you, Josh? I saw that down there. And yes, you still got to do the timestamps on your birthday. Get to work. Get to work. And good morning to you. Steph, good morning to you. Carl and Alex. Smee, you're there as well. We've got Andes. We've got Rex, Inez. We've got Fran. We've got Tony. Got Chris. Got Neville. Good morning, everybody. Was there 3 adverts at the start of the stream? Mate, my bad. That's all I automatically placed. 3. Worth it, though. Maybe. Don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Let's get on with today's show. Now, Arsenal, of course, were in pretty good form, not conceding. For what? What was it? 7 games, I think they did? I don't think it was 7 Premier League games, 7 games in total. I don't think that record's ever going to be beaten. Van der Sar, Rio, and Vidic. Was it 2008, 2009 season? 1,311 minutes without conceding. And we put this graphic out yesterday. Big up to the lads on the social team. I think that's a class graphic. But 14 Premier League clean sheets in a row. Can anybody remember the team that broke that run? I swear I remember what player it was as well. Little pub quiz question. I might be wrong, but I think I know what team it was. Let's see if I was right on the player as well. 14. I don't think you're ever beating that. Legitimately, I don't think that's ever going to be beaten. And I've said that like 4 times. I'm waiting for some answers to come in the chat. Connor's saying finally made a live show. How you doing, buddy? Watching from Belfast. Good morning to you. When was the last time Stoke was in the Prem? I know the answer to that. I don't really care about the answer to that. I always remember we played Stoke in or around Boxing Day. Sashi saying Leeds. Neville, you're saying Blackburn. I'm pretty sure it was Blackburn. I should probably try and find out the answer to this. Let's type it in. Let's just have a look. Blackburn ends Man United clean sheet streak. That feels like a good thing to type in. And I think it was Rocky Santa Cruz. Well, you can't play the video, can you, mate? Man United's record-breaking clean sheets came to an end at Old Trafford. Still won. Rocky Santa Cruz. Oh, it's saying 1,334 minutes. No, come on, don't. Was it 1,334? Well, it's actually 23 more. And it was Rocky Santa Cruz. I don't know why. That's one random bit of just pub trivia knowledge that's up in my head. So, yeah, the lads put that graphic out yesterday, and we see you, Rio. We see you. There's Rio on his Facebook page saying, just been sent this in a WhatsApp group. He's calling it the triangle. We see you, Rio. I reckon you could do a little mini doc on that. Alex is saying he got some brilliant random football knowledge. You know, the sort of thing like, for some reason, I know the first names of footballers I didn't even know the first names of. And then stuff I should know about what United did 4 games ago. I'm like, I can't remember. Anyway, that was a fun little one. Nice to see Rio sharing it. Now, let's start off with the best news of today. Sesko. When Sesko went down with that injury against Spurs, it just looked a bit concerning. You know, it wasn't one, you know, those injuries where there's no flying tackling and a player's pulled up himself. You think, oh, God, that doesn't look good. But we've got confirmation. Well, I say confirmation. The confirmation is expected to come today from Manchester United. But Sesko didn't join up with Slovenia on international duty. And the expectation is that the injury is not considered major. This is what the Athletic's reporting. Sesko has withdrawn from the Slovenia squad after sustaining an injury to his knee against Spurs. He's going to remain at Carrington, where he will continue to be assessed by United's medical staff, but the forward is not thought to have suffered a major injury. The extent of the problem should become clear ahead of United's return to action against Everton on November 24th, after the club have completed further tests. But by the sounds of it, there's no, I don't know. How bad could the injury have been? I suppose it could have been an ACL, an MCL, like a cruciate ligament injury, because it's in and around the knee. But it's good news to hear that it's nothing considered major or serious by the club. So you would expect Sesko would miss the Everton game. Maybe he'll be back. Yeah, and maybe he'll be back by December. But it doesn't sound like he's going to be ruled out for too long. I'll be interested to see what... Random question here, and this answer might change by the time the game comes around against Everton. But who, if Sesko's not available, who's your front three that you're starting against Everton? I really want to keep Cunha on the left. I don't want to see Cunha getting played up front. So it's who you decide to put up front. Do you put Xerxes up front? Do you put Mount up there and play a false nine? Don't know. Yeah, I hope he's back by mid-December. Anyway, it's good news. Brian is saying Mount back in like against Liverpool. It could be. Like Connie's saying, do you think Ahmad will be pushed into the 10 or Bruno with Cunha and Mbeumo up top? Yeah. I would rather see Xerxes given an opportunity and Cunha kept in his correct position than Cunha pushed further up. And I do get the feeling that Amorim sees Cunha as the second number 9 behind Sesko. I think that's kind of what that strikes me as that's what he sees it as. And then putting Mount left. So probably going to be Mount left, Cunha up front, and Boomer on the right. Would I be upset about it? No. Yeah, I just prefer not to see Cunha shifted out wide. Bobby's saying it'll be Mount, but I'd like to see Xerxes. Dad's saying, did Sesko quit then? Quit what? Dude had a knee injury. Went off with a knee injury. And now he's not going to play for Slovenia. I'm not sure what he's quitting there. Someone down there saying, I'm not a fan of the negative impression of Sesko among fans. I don't really think there's a massively negative feeling about Sesko. I think in the 3 games, I can't remember which 3 games. Was it Brighton? Was it Liverpool? Was it Sunderland? We had goal contributions in 3 consecutive games. I think it might have been the 3 games leading up to the Liverpool game, actually, which is why we were surprised that he was dropped for Liverpool. I think there's more noise in the media than there is inside the club and with fans with Sesko, and that goes for any player, really. There's always more noise on the outside. I haven't seen too many United fans going after him. Well, Gary Neville, did he go after him? I just thought it was a little bit, I suppose unnecessary is the word I would describe Neville's commentary on Sesko. The sort of stuff I would expect Gavia Bonahor or Michael Owen to do, but not Gary Neville. Vegas, you're asking what's happened between Amorim and Ugarte. I'll run through that just after a little brief chat here on the Elliot Anderson stuff. And it is brief. I feel like I'll probably will do a video on January and on midfielders at some point during this international break. When it's an international break, it gives you the opportunity to maybe look forward, look ahead, because you haven't got, I suppose it's a little bit different this season because typically United have got a game every 3 days and it's constant and it's bang, bang, bang. So there is space, I suppose, these days. But this is, again, come from Florian Plettenberg, who, I'm not sure if you're the same as me, but my judgment of him has somewhat diminished over the last few months. Just reporting that United are interested still, and It's concrete interest. It's not sand interest anymore, not limestone interest. That's a very bad dad joke. Sat myself for that. But concrete interest. And that price down there again of 100 to 120 mil. Alex is saying it wasn't just Neville on Sesko, it was Shearer on Match of Day 2. Anybody who's been part of this channel long enough will know that I won't make a real full judgment on a United player until they've had a full season at the club. I just don't do it. When it comes to the second season, like I did with Højlund or Onana or Anthony, yeah, I form my opinions then. I've seen enough early on from Sesko to know there's potential there. Whether that leads to as many goals as he wants to this season, we'll find out. No news on Stiller still at the moment. We're doing our research in the background. So the next video. So today we should be getting the Adam Wharton video released to end that trilogy. We've done on Carlos Baleba, on Elliot Anderson, and Adam Wharton. How have their seasons gone so far in the Premier League? Today is the video on Wharton. The next video we plan to do is on Angelo Stiller. Yeah, 100 and 120 mil, man. A question I want to ask there, right? I find it so difficult these days to know how much a football player is worth. We had these conversations multiple times during the summer. How much is Elliot Anderson actually worth? And how do you honestly put a value on a player anymore? Like, what's the metrics? I think when you buy a player now, you don't just pay for what you get. You pay for how good that player might be in like 3 years' time, and you pay a percentage of that up front. We know about the English tax. We know about the Premier League tax. We know about the Man United tax. They're always there. But, like, is this all just set by Chelsea signing Enzo and Chelsea signing Caicedo? What was the one that started it with midfielders? Is it Rice? And you're saying he's worth what a club is willing to pay? I know people say that, but it's a very empty answer, really. What? Okay, 200 mil. Great. Fantastic. You can say that is whatever a club is willing to pay, but no, there are metrics that go against the values of players. There are industry standards not industry standards, but you know what I mean? Like, there has to be some measure. Barca and Coutinho, Pogba started it, someone said down there. Rice was 105 mil 2 years ago. Find out, does he have a release clause? Do you remember that happened with, what's his face, Morgan Gibbs White? Spurs found out about it, paid it, and then got sued by Forest. The move collapsed, and then Morgan Gibbs White signed a new deal with Forest, presumably without the release clause. Mikey is saying he'll be similar to Rice and Caicedo. I think the Wirtz deal shows otherwise, says Glenn. Liverpool just got strung along there. They bought someone at the absolute peak of his value. Like, rarely does that happen in football. Rarely does a player get signed at absolute peak value and deliver on it. Cristiano Ronaldo did, and it ended up being cheap. It was a world record transfer when he left for United to Real Madrid and just delivered year after year after year. But 100 to 120 mil, I think they paid, and again, I think this is probably quite, they paid 45 mil, I think, to Newcastle. Anyway, we'll continue to follow the Elliot Anderson one. I've told you this. Of all the midfielders I've looked at so far, he's the one that sort of stands out. I think that all-round, all-action midfielder, someone who's good at progressing the ball, somebody who's good defensively, good in and out of possession, has the energy to last for the full 90 minutes, and just gets about everywhere. Paul, you're saying What could you do is go for Anderson in January, and instead of the summer, you get 40 mil in the summer from Hoyland. I don't know what you mean there. I've already spoken about the fact that I don't really think United are going to be able to go after a midfielder that we want in January. This is a random little bit of news, but I thought I'd bring you this. This is coming from Onana's agent, right? Saying that he almost joined United before he joined Villa. Saying the Euros are coming up. Amadou was performing well when we finalised the deal. Then United entered the picture. But I'd already given my word to Villa. You'll remember I think he was on my dream midfield signing list, not this summer, last summer. Of course, last summer we ended up signing Ugarte, and we'll speak about Ugarte in a minute. But it looks like United went after Onana, but were just too late. And because the deal was already agreed with Villa, he moved there. That would have been a great signing. Absolutely stand by the fact that that would have been a great signing. I still think it probably would be a good signing still. I don't know whether it would be the absolute best signing, but at the time that we could have signed him, that would have been a great one. Shame, really. Someone down there saying there's been murmurs about Alex Scott in the last few days. I think United will certainly just be looking at any Premier League midfielder who's outside the top six, traditional top six, who's maybe an outlier, maybe performing better than the club that they play for. Stature-wise. Might be a harsh thing to say. Maybe Alex Scott will come up to that. Is this the first time he's called up to the England squad? I think so. Someone down there saying Ugarte plus 60 mil for Anderson. Let's be totally honest. Rarely do you get swap deals. Really. Doesn't really happen that much anymore. Eric, you're saying Elliot Anderson is currently 45 million, but to hike up the price to 100 to 120 for an unproven player is a joke. He's not unproven. He's having a cracking season in the Premier League. He's also done it for England. It was £45 million when he was signed, and his stock's only gone up and up and up. I think somewhere in the 70 to 80 mil range is reasonable, but I just don't think reasonable really exists in transfers these days. Like, the Premier League is a Super League. That's what I mean. I can't get my head around what true value is anymore. Like, you look at Mbeumo, you think that now looks like value. Couldn't you? We knew it was value because he had a release clause. But Elliot Anderson's going to cost more than both of those. And you're saying no club worth its salt lets their prize players go mid-season if they have anything to play for. I take Onana still, but it's the same problem. Villa are certainly looking better than they did at the start of the season. But yeah, I think because if it wasn't World Cup year, I think United might have more of a chance of getting someone mid-season. Siraj saying, I feel Mainu can play that role if Mainu plays like Anderson. Mainu's not an Anderson-style player. Anderson is far more all-action than Mainu is. Mainu, for me, is a chief... Mainu can... This is the thing. Like, Mainu can do some things that a number 6 can do. But he just ticks more boxes for a number 8. And I don't think he's as all-purpose as him. That's not a slight on Mainu. It's just that that's the sort of midfielder Mainu is. Doesn't make him a bad one. But yeah, looks like we could have signed Onana before. We didn't. Oh well. Video yesterday. I spoke in a little bit more detail about that first and second half. United. And how much that's the problem that really needs to be fixed. Like, we can speak about 4-3-3 or 3 at the back. Or this and that and this and that. Ultimately, if United can play as good in the second half as they're playing in the first half, as they have all season, we're going to be fine. We're going to easily get into the Champions League without struggling too much. But that's covered yesterday. Gazzy saying Anderson is more of a Carrick style player. I'll open that up to the floor because I would kind of disagree with that. If you were to compare Elliot Anderson to a player, who would you compare him to? I feel Adam Morton is far more in the Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick wasn't as... I don't want to use the word physical, but the way I always saw Michael Carrick was he didn't really ever have to tackle anybody because he'd know where the pass was going and he'd just intercept the ball. So he wasn't like flying in with tackles, but he didn't have to because he would anticipate and he would intercept. So I would say Adam Wharton is kind of more like that, and the chief passer and progressor and sort of tempo setter. Now, someone's down there saying Roy Keane. Ain't no way I'm mentioning Roy Keane's name with any midfielder, but there is a little bit of a whiff. That's a fair description. It's the all-purpose nature of it. Like, it doesn't really have an obvious weakness in his game. And of course, we signed Roy Keane from a certain Nottingham Forest. But I'm not saying, can we just have a little pause here? I'm not saying that Elliot Anderson is the new Roy Keane. No way. Right. Let's move on. And I think this is going to be an interesting little talking point. Someone down there saying Elliot Anderson is a younger version of Declan Rice. Maybe. But yeah, I don't particularly think I would use the Carrick comparison. You know how I always get a bit frustrated when people do that, like the new, like a young player is the new Messi or the new this or that. I say, no, he's just the first version of himself. But what I do think is quite handy from a comparison perspective is using comparisons like that. So if we're talking about Elliot Anderson and we're speaking about Roy Keane, it's because we understand how Roy Keane played. He was somebody who was here, there, and everywhere. He was an athlete. He was tenacious. He was involved. He had goals in him. He had passes in him. He was a leader by example. And they're the sorts of characteristics you can see in Elliot Anderson. It's not to say that he is the quality of Roy Keane, but from a profile perspective, when you're watching him, sometimes players remind you of other players. And that's why I've spoken about Adam Wharton and Michael Carrick. Right, let's run through this. I'm not going to run through the whole thing. I will drop the link to this in the chat. Okay? This is from Laurie Whitwell, and it's a long piece. I think it's on the Discord as well. Big up, Alex. And it's the first year of Ruben Amorim. And there's kind of a lot of detail there about what's going on in training sessions, what's happened in the periods where it looked like he might lose his job and the conversations that all happen behind the scenes. There's one bit I want to laser in on in particular, because I think it was a couple of months ago, if I remember correctly. I think there was a Talk of the Devils live show, and Laurie Whitwell said something about Ugarte and Amorim and like what happened between them. And then the quotes just came out on Twitter, I think, from the live show. And Laurie requested them to be taken down. So to see this in print, I suppose makes it a little bit more not legitimate. But that's why we're speaking about it again. And this is what the conversation is. It's about Ugarte not being given special treatment. And you know that conversation, the meeting that happened after the Europa final, where Garnacho was told, look, you may as well go and find yourself a good agent because you're not going to be coming back next season. That bit in yellow down there. Several players were on the receiving end too, but Amorim had particularly pointed feedback for Ugarte, who he felt had let his work rate slide from their time together at Sporting. Amorim believed Ugarte had gotten comfortable and said he did not recognise him as the same player from their first stint together. Criticising a former player in front of his teammates certainly caused a ripple of reaction. It also showed them that Amorim was hard but broadly fair when it came to assessing application. And I just thought it was an interesting... well, first of all, it was an interesting talking point when it first came out. But now that Laurie's written it down there as well, I certainly don't think you can accuse Amorim of favouritism, which is... it's always been one of my little bugbears, I think. When managers... when it's not working out for them at United, they'll always reach a point where there's certain fans that will scream favouritism, saying, oh, Oh, he doesn't care. He just wants to play Delos. That's his favourite, and he won't play anybody else. Like people were saying it about Ugarte, and now they can't say it about Ugarte. And they never really could have said it last season, maybe, but not this season at all. I always find that slightly frustrating that people try to jump on the idea that maybe managers do have look, parents have got favourite kids. They just never bloody say it. But I think if I was to go back and assess every single signing that's been made by Ineos so far, I'd probably say Ugarte is the one. I wouldn't put it down as a catastrophic failure because I put Anthony down as a catastrophic failure. I put Jadon Sancho down as a catastrophic failure. But I would put his signing down as a failure, really. For 40, was it 40, 45 mil? Best part of 50 mil. Well, we just found out there. Could have. And should have been. Amadou Onana. But it wasn't, because we were a little bit too late. Neil's saying, why didn't we sell Bruno after the horrendous final and go for a rebuild? You make it sound like we haven't done quite a bit. Well, we focused on the attack and the rebuild this summer. I did not want Bruno sold this summer. Are we having some problems this season because Bruno's here? Yeah, some problems. Can I guarantee that those problems wouldn't be here if Bruno wasn't here? No, not necessarily. The fact that we didn't sign a midfielder is a problem. Yeah, and I think Ugarte was an Ineos signing. Am I making that up? Pretty sure that was last summer, and that was their first summer in charge. And we signed De Ligt, we signed Ugarte, Yoro, Mazraoui. Who else was it? Was it those four? I can't remember if there was anyone else. John saying, how did you play for Uruguay? No, I don't watch the Uruguay games. I'll be totally honest. So I can't pass comment on that. I'm going to go down here and read some more of your comments. Seems ages ago that we signed him. It was a while ago. 2 years now. How much of a loss would you accept to an Ugarte? It's kind of a good question there from Gonk. Well, you'd have to accept a loss, wouldn't you? Realistically, you'd probably accept 20, 25 mil. Is that fair? Xerxes. That's who else we signed. Thank you. Xerxes was a release clause, wasn't he? I think I'd probably accept 25 mil. But Ugarte will be moved on in the summer. I don't think you could get a January exit. I don't really think we've got the squad depth to be able to do that right now, especially with the fact that Mainoo's going to be pushing out for a loan too. But Ugarte, I think, should be leaving. Casemiro, I don't think should get his contract renewed, no matter how good he's playing now. I stand by the fact that I would like a handshake and those wages reinvested big time. This summer's a midfield overhaul, man. Right. John's saying, only Villa's I want to take a Rodgers in concert. Well, Rodgers has just signed a new contract at Villa. It's good for them. I would have absolutely loved Rodgers. I think I put him down as my dream Prem signing. I'm pretty happy with Cunha and Mbuma, though. I'll be totally honest. Someone down there saying, I'll get rid of Xerxes ahead of Ugarte. I don't think either of them have long-term futures at the football club. But I think I would rather move Ugarte on first. And DJ down there saying Ugarte's key attribute was his work rate. That's fair criticism. Yeah, if I was to ever explain the strengths of Ugarte, is out of possession. Like chasing a ball that someone's stolen off him. But yeah, it's interesting to get the confirmation here from Laurie that Ugarte was indeed just told in front of everybody, you're not the same player that I signed from Sporting. Where's that work rate gone? You've got comfortable. I thought it was interesting. And you're saying I think we need a similar summer. Go big or go home. I think we have a very, very similar summer in midfield to what we had in attack. So what was that? 3 signings. I think we probably spend the same amount of money, but I'm not sure whether we do. Do you think we signed 3 midfielders this summer? We've got Cunha and Mbuma and Sesko. Who did we let go? Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, Garnacho. Might have forgotten someone as well. That's 4 out, 3 in. You could argue Sancho wasn't really part of the first team squad anyway. I think we signed 2 midfielders this summer, and probably the third one. Do I think it's going to come from the academy? I think it might do. You know what? Vegas, you've mentioned his name down there, but if we do move Bruno on, then I think there's every chance we do spend 200 mil on the midfield. I think regardless of what happens with Bruno, Casemiro's leaving, I think, anyway. And Ugarte should be leaving. That's 2 midfielders gone, and a midfield that didn't have much anyway. I think you just signed straight 2 midfielders there anyway. What goes on with Mainu, we don't quite know. If Bruno leaves, then what happens? You could argue that United have got strength and quality already in the number 10 positions, and that we should probably focus on more central midfielders. We'll find out. Someone's mentioning a wing-back. Yeah, we can speak about positions. Steve, you don't think Bruno's going, and King Cantona, you're saying you think he'll still be here next season? He may well be. But I think if Bruno does stay, there's no pathway for Mainu. I think Bruno staying means Mainu's definitely leaving. That's just my take. Someone down there saying Bruno's not leaving. Amorim's made that clear. What he did say was that if Bruno was here next season, I think this happened in the pre-match press conference ahead of Spurs. He said that if Bruno does stay, he has to accept that next season he might be a rotation player. I think that's what he said. And you think he's going to be going to a European club? I don't think Bruno wants to go Saudi. What was the release clause? 60, 56, 57? 50, I think it was somewhere in the mid-50s. Bruno's got a release clause. Interested to see if anybody actually tries to use it. They might do. Michael watching from Austria. Awesome, dude. I've been Austria. I think I drove through Austria. Yeah, I did. It's when I drove back from Slovenia through South Germany, then up through Austria. I stayed in Austria. I stayed in some random farmhouse for a couple of days. I had a little pool. Above ground pool. I remember that. I remember chicken breast being really expensive in a petrol station. Fun fact. I'm being told 67, 54, 56, 60. Like somewhere in that region. I know he's got some form of release clause. But yeah, I thought that was interesting on Ugarte. I thought that was worthy of a conversation. Bobby's saying, what do you think of the scheduling over December? 3 midweek fixtures and only the only game of Boxing Day. I had tickets for Bournemouth and Newcastle. Now I can't attend. It's annoying when they bloody change the dates. December is always traditionally a fixture pile-up. Always has been, and I'm fine with that. United having a game every 3 days, we should be able to cope with that perfectly, right? Obviously, we're the only game on Boxing Day. Is what it is. This is something that's definitely worthy of praising, right? This comes from The Athletic too. And this is United's corners record this season. So the two graphs here. The further along on the right you are, the more goals you're getting per 100 corners. And the further up you are, means you're conceding less from corners. So the absolute perfect position to be, as you can see, is in the top right. Strong attack, strong defence. But this is where United are. So actually on paper, and this surprised me, United are the most efficient team in the entire Premier League when it comes to corners. We're actually better than Arsenal. Per 100 corners, we're scoring more corners than Arsenal are. We're also conceding from nearly triple the amount Arsenal are. So, Brandon saying The Athletic got exposed. Are we really using their graphs? Wait. So, the Athletic, and was it JJ Ball and a couple of people got called out where you can't use hard data graphs. No, it's a bit of a stretch. Either way, this is a big old improvement. I knew the set pieces had been better this season. I didn't quite realise how much better. We're still not secure enough from defending them. As you can see there, currently only Bournemouth, Leeds, Forest and West Ham are worse at defending corners than United. But from an attacking perspective, we are scoring goals. Glenn, you're asking a question there I don't know the answer to. How did that happen? I don't particularly know. I think it's probably one of two things. Number one, the deliveries have just got better. Now, everyone talks about Arsenal set pieces and like where everybody stands and lines up. I swear, like 75% of scoring from a corner is just a wicked ball dropped in the right place with pace, and then you might get a goal off it. So I think deliveries have been better, and Bruno, obviously, but also just aggression. Aggression, getting the run, getting the jump on somebody, wanting that header more. And yeah, it's a good thing that we're scoring more. It's a bad thing that we still haven't quite resolved marking from corners. I wouldn't say that we're corner FC. I don't think I've ever looked at United and felt that we were particularly reliant on set pieces. But what game was it? What game was it? I can't remember. There was a game where I thought we were playing absolutely crap. Was it? It might have been Forest, you know. It might have been Forest away. I think it was. Obviously, it didn't actually lead to United winning, obviously. But we had hardly anything in that game in terms of open play. And we got a corner, and then Casemiro towers it in. Makes a big difference, man. Set piece, like, you know how like football changes, and tactics, and this and that, and shapes. And set pieces are the exact bloody same as they were in 1945. Still a corner, swung into a box that some bloke tries to head into the back of the net. You can have different tactics and approaches and runs and dummy runs and blocks and this and that and like turn it into NFL plays if you want. The set pieces, still very similar to how they were before. So it's good to see United scoring from more of them. Just need to be better at defending them. Danny's saying a little bit behind, but Anderson is definitely like Carrick. Don't know who you've been watching if you think he isn't. All right, cool. He's certainly a good player. Which player you want to use as a comparison for him, that's completely up to you. All right? I'm not saying anyone's right or wrong. Now, let's move on to the international break. And actually, before I do, I want to say something quickly. You know how much I've been speaking about the community. And long story short, we brought in Jimmy to be head of community, and it just didn't quite work out with him, timing-wise. And I wish him the best, but kind of left us high and dry. So I've been wanting to, basically, this community's got so big and is so awesome and is so active everywhere that I haven't been able to give it the attention that I've wanted to for a long time. And I've needed people to come on alongside me. So I'm happy to say that we've got two prominent members of the community who are going to be getting involved and stepping in and stepping up. And that is Alex and Maddie, who will be coming on board and will effectively be the leadership team for the community. So welcome aboard to both of them. We're going to be speaking to both Alex and Maddie after this live show. And finally, we can start bringing more stuff to the community. But I'm going to be able to put a little bit of money aside every single month that we can then involve in organising giveaways and proper trivia prizes. And something I'd love to get on the Discord, for example, is, I don't know, if we do like weekly quizzes, but there's a leaderboard and everybody's points are ranked, and then at the end of the month, somebody wins a wicked prize. In December, I want to do a proper advent calendar giveaway here on United People's TV, where we give something away every single month, every single day of December in the build up to Christmas, and then do a big prize at the end. So with Alex and Maddie on board, I've still got the Stan Chow signed limited edition poster down there. We can get all this stuff sent out. All the giveaways I've said we're going to be starting, all that stuff. We're going to be reorganizing the membership levels on YouTube. So, gonna have to play the elevator music. Someone's at my door. Back in a sec. Wasn't even for me. For a next door neighbour. Unbelievable, Jeff. Unbelievable, Jeff. But what I was saying there, I'm really happy to have them on board. And any ideas that you've got to bring this community to the next level now, we're going to be organising the live shows. We're going to be focusing on the global meetups. We're going to be finally redesigning the membership levels and the perks that you get and the members' content, the trivia stuff in the Discord, all that stuff. It's going to happen. John, Sam, you need to get a Ring doorbell. I've got a Ring doorbell. It went off. I answered my doorbell. I'm not going to sit here and just have a conversation with the bloke whilst I'm sitting here. It's more fun. Don't get the elevator music otherwise. So yeah, little break I know, but I'm really excited to bring them both on. And I think the fact that it's going to be two big members of the community in Alex and Maddie, they know the community inside out already. I'm looking forward to seeing it. All right? Let's move on now. Mate, I can't wait to do those global meetups. I can't wait for that first live show we all do in a pub together. Just sit there and watch a game together. I can't wait to be able to organise so that United People's TV members who are in Cape Town or New York or Joburg or Dublin can meet up and watch a game together. That's what I think. There's loads of stuff that you can do. And I'm sure that lots of you will have really good ideas. So we'll all reach out. We'll have a conversation. Now, international break. Delict. Really happy for Delict because he has been frozen out by Ronald Koeman unfairly for quite a long time. Let's be totally honest. Like with the Van Dijk's obviously going to be one of the main starters for the Netherlands team, but who else have they got? Is it Stefan de Vrij and I don't even know the names of the other ones. Is Van der Ven? He's Dutch, isn't he? Is he Dutch? Must be. Anyway, Delict, congrats to him. He deserves it, and it'll be a big moment for him because he's been thrown out for a long, long time. More good news is Martinez is out with the Argentina team, and he's not going to be, I think they play Angola on Friday. He's not going to be involved in that, but he's flown out to continue his rehab, so he's going to be training properly, and it's just another step in the right direction. Right? For Martinez, who still is yet to play. Wouldn't surprise me if we see him in the matchday squad against Everton. I think that would be awesome. But again, another step in the right direction. Now, I don't think that this will actually lead to Senny Lemons making his Belgian debut, but Courtois suffered an injury. So I imagine that means that Matt Sells, the Forest goalkeeper, is going to be stepping in for him. But maybe there's an opportunity to be had there. I don't know. Someone down there saying would rather see Martinez working with Ruben. I think from a mentality perspective, I disagree on that. Like Martinez has been working and grafting at Carrington for months now. Like he knows that gym inside out. I don't really think there's too much more to gain from him training in an isolated environment at Carrington, even if it's one-on-one with Amorim. I think what he needs is stepping back out into feeling like a footballer again. So going there and training, I think that's a good thing, if I'm being completely honest. It's like someone down there, it's not that there's nobody at Carrington, but it's just that I'm pretty sure that Martinez will be happy to see the back of Carrington right now because he spent so much time there in the rehab. Now, here's a little bit of good news on Casemiro and Cunha. You remember the last international break? Casemiro played both full 90 minutes for Brazil, and they were out in Asia. I can't remember who they played. Was it South Korea? I can't remember. Was it Japan? Might have been. Anyway, they had two games out in Asia. I think Cunha started one, but Casemiro played the full 90 in both. Look at where Brazil's 2 games are this time. All right, he's playing on Saturday in London against Senegal. Then 3 days later, they're playing in France. So Brazil's 2 games for this international break are in England and France. Significantly easier trip than going the whole way to Japan and back. So that should put Cunha and Casemiro in a little bit less of a fatigued state by the time they're back at United. I can only see that as a good thing. There's Brian Mbeumo training for Cameroon. I'll show you the fixtures in a minute, by the way. Diego Leon there for Paraguay as well. But these are the international break fixtures, right? First game up is Mbeumo against, well, not Mbeumo, against Democratic Republic of Congo. But Cameroon. Portugal playing Ireland on Thursday. Ahmad might be involved against Saudi on Friday. I doubt you'll see Mazraoui start for Morocco. He definitely looks shaky. Well, he looked rusty, didn't he? Scanlon playing for Gibraltar. There you go. De Ligt against Poland. Isn't that a massive game? I think it is. If I remember correctly, I think Poland can qualify for the World Cup if they win. If they draw. Ollie, I know you're watching. You can let me know that. Either way, I'd rather De Ligt spanks in a little bit of a winner than Poland. My bad. And then you can see all the other ones down there. But it's a good thing. I think so anyway. Yeah, we do play on Monday evening. It is, as far as international breaks go, I'm pretty sure it's the longest it could possibly be. A 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday to an 8 p.m. kickoff on a Sunday. What's everyone got planned for this international break? Going away this weekend? I'm going to see a Tyler Childers concert in the O2 on Saturday. I like a bit of country. Not mega country. I like Tyler Childers, though. Might go and see my niece's. I think my niece is going to be a mascot at a rugby game as well. So I'm going to go watch that. That'll be fun. Mike saying massive props to Diego Leon. Doing everything he can to progress. He's putting in the yards. He's playing with the under-21s. And now he's in the Paraguay senior team. And he made his debut in the last international break, if I'm being completely honest. Stu, you say getting Foo Fighters tickets? Very nice. Never seen Foo Fighters. Would like to. Dave Grohl is an unnecessarily talented bastard. Be fine if he was ugly or something. He's not. It's just annoying. Happy for him, though. Rugby Autumn Internationals. Who's playing this week? Don't know. Carl, you're saying I'm on holiday in Australia. So happy for you. No, I am. I'm freezing here, mate. I'm freezing. Maddie, you're watching Offspring on Friday. O2. Man. Offspring. Now you're taking me back. I remember I saw Sum 41 in Brixton. That was a good gig. And a little note to finish off here today's show. Congratulations to Gabriel Bianchetti. He's nominated for the Premier League, or the PL2, for the youth teams. Nominated for Player of the Month. You can see 3 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. I wonder what's going to happen with Cheeto this season. I wonder, man. Because I think he'll be frustrated. Would he be frustrated at lack of development? I don't quite know. I already did a sort of what's happening with Cheeto. I'll tell you what I think I'd like to do this week. Content-wise. Today is going to be the Wharton video. So you can learn everything you need to know about how Wharton has played so far this season for Palace. In the same way you learn about Elliot Anderson and Carlos Baleba. Then you can make your mind up. I'd like to do a video on sort of what's happening with Radek Vitek at Bristol City, how his season's going. And Harry Amass at Sheffield Wednesday as well, who scored his first goal for Sheffield Wednesday at the weekend. I might put those two in the same video. I might separate them out. I'm not quite sure. But we'll figure that out. But I think that'll be a good thing, a good conversation to have during the international break. Now, I'm going to wrap up for today. Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. As always, if you are new, please do subscribe to United People's TV. I think we're going to be recording the pod as well tomorrow. If we do record the pod tomorrow, we might make it a mailbag special. So we'll probably put a tweet out or maybe an Instagram story, and you can just send in your questions that you want to ask. And it'll be a different sort of pod. All right? Yeah, I'll be honest, Vitek is having a very strong season. Toby Collier, he was injured at West Brom and he's been injured for quite a while, so I don't particularly think there's too much of an update I can bring you there. Ethan Williams at Falkirk. I would be hesitant to do a full loan roundup video. I would rather focus on one or two in a bit more detail, and then we can have the rest of the conversations here. Anyway, much love for you all. I'll see you soon. All right. Thanks for tuning in.